The PL Show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil.
When placed in positions where your voice can be heard, you have a moral obligation to lend it in service of those who are voiceless. Here on the Roma Phenomenal Lady Show, we place the spotlight on women who are going to great lengths to lend their voice to those who need it most. Our show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil, Roma and Tum Master. Feco Spray Starch, look sharp. My name is Princess Fathia Nkrumah. I'm your host and we'll be right back after these breaks.
The clapping of our hands, tapping of our feet, and slapping of our skin continue to increase as our full attention has been shifted to COVID-19. While the mosquitoes grow wings in our households and are flying in our environment, while we observe the protocols to curb the COVID-19 pandemic by washing our hands with soap, using alcohol-based hand sanitizers and disinfectants. Wear mask always if you are infected or not, and ensuring social distancing. Let's also drive away malaria, which slowly raised our hope by using Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil. Roma and Tum Master.
Look sharp.
Wow! My uniform looks different.
From my head to my toes.
You're the best grandpa ever.
Feco Spray Starch, Majimo Point.
Hi, Pops.
Cratchy, pause. Abarintin Wogumen Masidam. When you want to run to the moon. Afi ni spray starch papa. On particles be or water or dos warm on your water no sufi. No wrinkles, smooth iron.
Yes, Papa. Feco Spray Starch. Me here perfume.
Point 2.
Also, your guy. Feco Spray Starch.
Look sharp.
Feco Spray Starch. Look sharp.
Welcome back to the PL Show. If you're just joining us now, remember that you can reach us on social media at Instagram and Twitter @_the PL Show, on Facebook @the PL Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel @the PL Show. Welcome back to the show. Our guest today is a women's rights activist and advocate for women's study in agriculture. She is the executive director of the Savannah Women's Integrated Development Agency, SWIDA. Our guest today is none other than Hajia Alima Sagito Saeed. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hajia, you look absolutely incredible today with this agency that has such a huge emphasis on women education and study. What exactly was your own personal relationship with education?
Thank you very much. And I also like to appreciate the fact that you think I'm gorgeous. You're also gorgeous. Thank you very much for that and the opportunity to share our story. I'm the executive director for Savannah Women Integrated Development Agency, an organization I formed with my husband, but I'm running it for now because he's doing other things like politics. Yes, I'm a Nkrumah Alajo born girl.
Wow.
Woman that has grown, and then so I school in Accra actually, Alajo School. From there I went to St. Francis Girls, that is Upper West region.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
I went there, did my A-level there. Then I went to A-level at Ghana Secondary School, Ghana School, where I became the GP of the school. Then from there I went to University for Development Studies, where I studied Integrated Development Studies. Then I got this Commonwealth Scholarship to do MS, where I did Managing Rural Development, which means that all my story has been in development.
Yes.
From where I come from, where my environment needs to be developed, which means that if you look at Nkrumah Alajo, that is in terms of development, it's lacking. So when you are schooling there, everything about you should be what can you contribute to make sure that the environment looks better, so that those are copied. So it has always been me to do development. So no wonder I went to University for Development Studies. I did MSc2 in managing rural development. Currently, I'm still studying. I want to do PhD, which I'm doing on managing. My PhD is development studies. So everything about me is development.
Yes.
People-centered development for that matter. Yes, that's my story in terms of education.
That's wonderful. I think it's very admirable that you recognize that there was a need for development, not only in the community in which you were raised, but in various communities all over the country.
That is true.
Which I think is an incredible job you're doing. Now, as we've mentioned, you work a lot in development, but you also have occupied numerous positions in your career.
Yes.
I mean, you've been the chairperson for the West African Network for Peace Building. You are running all over the place, protecting the rights of young women and girls. What has been your career path and journey thus far?
Yeah, my career path has been, I can say right from the national service. You know, when you finish university, that's where you really reorganize your life to know how you take off, whether what you studied is relevant to you. If it's not relevant, you find yourself in another. But what I studied, I realized became relevant. So I started from national service with Ministry of Local Government Studies. So, and that one is nothing but just training district assembly officials, making sure that they do the right thing.
Yes.
So, and that was the time the campus just started in Tamale. Yes. And I was actually at that time the RCC, Regional Coordinating Council. But I realized that it was not, I wasn't really impacted, so I had to read.
You wanted to do
yes,
more.
I had to join the Institute of Local Government Studies, where there was so much happening because they had really resources to do training for district planners, budget officers, coordinating directors. So as a young lady, I just ran myself into it, and I realized that I really was very passionate about change.
Yes.
And with change, it means that you need to be knowledgeable about it. So I started to make sure that I study more, learn more, interact with people who really understand development. And then from there, I built myself to be interested. Yeah. So when I finished national service, they wanted to retain me, but I wanted to leave Tamale. So I had to leave to Afran Place. Young lady, you know, my parents, they say, hey, Afran Place, you have to cross river.
I can imagine.
You know, Afran Place on its own territory. You have to cross river. Yes, but I said, no, I will go. So I went there, and then I started working. And I was enjoying work because that is where you come direct in contact with poverty, where you really, whatever action you take, whatever decision you take, is directly impacting on people's lives.
Yes.
So if you are somebody who really want to impact, then you need to look for an environment like that, where it's not like where I was a problem, but I just thought that I need to, people should feel that one has studied and now I'm relevant to society.
Yes.
So I just realized I needed to move out of my comfort zone, which was, I didn't have problem. My father was the regional economic planning officer at that time, so it's not a problem still where I am.
Yes.
You get it. But I just needed to relocate just to go and really impact lives. And that's what I did. So from there, I actually got a very serious accident while working.
Oh
So it relocated me back. What was good was that my husband is my mate in the university. So when we finished, we immediately said we're going to form an organization. So we formed the organization, but I needed experience to be able to run it. You just can't form an organization where you don't have any experience.
No.
It's good. Sometimes it can work, sometimes too it may not work. But I just decided that he should be doing his teaching whilst I go to look for knowledge in terms of experience to use to come back.
Yeah.
So when we got the accident, I decided to come back home and not take over, sit at my comfort zone, which is my house. And then do it. By then, to my husband, he's a politician. He just went into politics. So I just took over the organization, started running it. And that's how far we have come with it.
Yes.
And since then, I've been running it. And we've been growing from strength to strength.
No, you've been doing
because I never
job.
gave up. Everywhere you find me, I just want to try everything that impacts people's lives. So I really can do anything just to make sure that I'm touching lives.
So you've mentioned having to move back home and work from a place that's your comfort zone. I'm sure that our viewers would love to see what that looks like for you. Let's take a look at the day in the life of Hajia Alima.
She's a development management consultant who belongs to many international and national platforms for learning and sharing as well as for advocacy purposes. She's Executive Director of Savannah Women Integrated Development Agency, SWIDA, which focuses on rural development. Making women and the youth see agriculture as a lucrative business, Hajia Alima Sagito Saeed, through her agency, helps over 150 group farmers to acquire land and produce for cultivation. She is geared towards helping eradicate rural-urban migration for greener pastures.
Anywhere that Hajia goes, people like her to come again.
She knows her job.
The woman is a blessing to Northern region and Ghana as a whole.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, I could not agree more. You truly are a blessing to our community at large and the country as a whole. Now, we've spoken to an extent about how much work and research you've done in your field of development. And you've found through your research that the people most impacted by the depravity and the lack of resources and the poverty are women. Among that group of women, you've sectioned out a key issue in our community, specifically in the North, which is the issue of child marriages. Can you tell us a bit more about that and the work you do against child marriages?
Coming from the North and having gone through a lot of challenges, poverty is very rare, and you can just feel, sometimes you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it.
Yes.
And for us, there is always one way that can break that chain of poverty, and that is education.
Yes.
And we also know that it's women who make homes. So if the woman doesn't start well, it means the ending more often than not does not end well. We are where we are because our parents decided to make us start well. So we need to pick it as an advocacy issue to make sure that every woman or every girl starts well, so that we can get more of them replacing us and breaking the chain of poverty.
Yes.
It's true that in the development cycle, there are people that really are mostly affected, and those are women and children. And in the children category is the girl child.
Yes.
Now, we have a situation where because of our poverty, people think that the girl child is the only way to break the poverty. And that is not true education. For them, it is through marriage. So when you have a situation where you have more girls being given out because probably they've made a mistake of becoming pregnant and they are forcing them into marriage, it means that you are depriving them of decent job, you are depriving them of having access to good health, you are depriving them of having access to economic opportunities.
And you're continuing the cycle.
So the cycle continues. So as an organization, we realize that if we really want to break the chain of poverty, make women contribution be recognized, make sure that you work on the unpaid care job, which more often than not is handled by the woman, but the trickle down goes more to the girl child.
Yes.
Because as the mother is not able to do the work, he also sends the work back to the girl child. So to do that means that the girl child does more as much as the mother is doing. And the tendency for the girl child to be stopped from school, to be able to continue, that is very high.
Yes.
So you have to work on that. So we consciously, as part of our thematic operational activities, is what we call women and girls empowerment. We look at it from the right perspective. But to do that also means that we have to forcefully look at discussing the issue of early and forced child marriages. So it is something that we really do, and do it with all the passion that we deserve. So we get to make sure that every student, I say student, whether you are intern, you are my staff, where you come, you have to understand the issue of the implication of not working on early child marriage and how it affects every other programming that you are doing in the communities. So what we do also is to make sure that as you do that, you have to work on solving the strategic needs of women. When you do that, means that you will indirectly be supporting the girl child to be in school.
Yes.
Because if we work on making sure that wash services, that is water, sanitation, hygiene, is brought closer to the woman, it reduces the time the woman spends to access water. So therefore, doing that means that the girl child that would have also supported getting water, and that will affect going to school, will also be reduced. So in attempt to solve that particular strategic need of the woman, you will also be supporting the girl child to be able to go to school.
Yes.
That is how we look at it.
Yes.
In attempt to make sure that the woman's economic base is improved, that means that is where in the north, the farming is critical. Even though a lot of the women don't do farming in cash crop area, that gives them direct income. But they farm vegetables, that also gives them income. They trade. I mean, they are along the agri value chain. You see a lot of the women. And also in the north, you cannot say that you're empowering women when you don't look at the share value chain, the share. Because a lot of the women also trade in the share. They pick, they process, they market. So you need to look at all that as an integrated approach to economically empowering the woman. So when the woman is economically empowered, is able to contribute to some decisions making that include not allowing the girl to be given out forcefully for marriage. So that is how the chain, we look at the chain. It is really integrated. So you leave one, you pull out one, and the system does not roll the way it should. It
unravels.
It doesn't. So that is how we look at the girl child. But we look critically at the girl child. Our emphasis is on educating the girl child. So the child marriage affects education of the girl child. So it means that if your end result is to get the girl in school,
you need to make sure
remain in school, get to the level that the girl now can say that I am now tired. It means that should be your driving. So whatever that will stop that becomes also your enemy. You have to fight that.
You have to advocate
and in where we find ourselves, the probability for a lot of the girls to pull out and giving out for marriage is very high. So therefore you need to consciously work and be deliberate about any action that will stop the girl from going to school. That means that you have to be deliberate with activities to tackle early and forced child marriage.
Absolutely.
So we do advocacy, we do community engagement, we do a lot, even the children themselves. Sometimes some children on their own think that they are not good in school. They just think that the school is just about the classroom. Maybe other things you can provide alternatives for the girl so that the girl can just get the basic and be able to look for other alternatives. The challenge has been sometimes you start very well, you can't continue because at a stage, the demands are many, the issues are complex, but the resources are very limited. So you go somewhere along the line, you have to retreat, but life goes on and we are doing our best.
We'll speak a bit more on some of the challenges faced later on in the interview. But before we do that, you have spoken about how important it is to educate the girl child. Now, your organization not only specifies the kind of education that must be, imparted onto these young, impressionable minds, but it places a huge emphasis on agric studies. Why do you personally think that agric studies for young women, specifically in these impoverished areas, is the way forward?
Yeah, we all know that education breaks the chain of poverty. We know. Because when you're educated, at least the probability for you having a decent job is high.
Yes.
A lot of the girls and their mothers are in the informal sector, which does not provide them the long-term opportunity to educate them. So we think that when we get these girls move higher in the education ladder, they on their own will be able to take care of themselves. And when they take care of themselves, they can therefore break the chain of poverty. So for us, studies is very important. We don't want to negotiate that. And for the studies, we don't limit the study to only the formal sector. Because our people they also look at the Islamic studies as well as we move along. And then you also realize that even if people drop out, we still need to we work on them to be able to get themselves into vocational skills that can let them earn for themselves. It's not everybody that is probably good enough to go through the formal way, the way some adults will go.
Everybody has their strength.
Thank you. So you look at the strength of the person and then the opportunities, and you don't also want to start something you cannot end. So you can't go insisting that you must go to school, you must finish SS, you must go to university or polytechnic. You have to look at the environment the child to find herself, and you to your own organization or limitation, put that together and get a balance.
Yes.
And then if the balance is that you look for a trade for the person, you do that. At least it provides the person a better income source.
Yeah, the point is to empower them.
Thank you. You see, so it's a combination of forces that you put together to be able to get the whole out. If not, you won't. You'll be doing more of artificial things that you can't sustain. And I don't think that's what we want to do.
No.
Because as an organization, we are there to stay. We need to have success stories.
And we need you to stay. You're doing very
And our success
work.
story is based on what we'll be able to achieve. And we will do that only if you are realistic, instead of being more artificial and imagining and assuming that things will work. No, you have to be very practical with some of them. And that is where our strength is. We are always very practical.
I think it's an incredible segue for me that you mentioned being more practical.
Yeah.
Do you believe that our current national school system is prolific enough in more practical studies such as agric and more vocational skills?
Yeah, it depends on who is looking at it and what somebody is saying. But from where we come from, and given the challenges that are on the ground, we think that if we also include practical literacy too, it makes more sense. So that we do not make a blanket and think that society is homogeneous. It's not. There's a lot of diversity in it. And there's a lot of, I mean, we cannot just fix everybody in the same basket. So that if you come from that perspective, policy must look at it like that and make room for those that will drop. But the dropping should be said that they have other alternatives to fit themselves. And that is where, for us, issue of vocation becomes very critical.
Absolutely.
Yes. Because the school, the higher they go, the more it becomes expensive. And if we are already a poverty-stricken community, and this time around, the unfortunate thing is that the social cohesion is weakening. That people are no more interested in this community, this girl is doing well, so all of us should contribute to educate the child. It's no more there again. You can't get it. Now everybody is on their own. So based on that, we need to be very practical with the solutions that we are proposing. And for that, that's what we do. So we can always take on a handful. We can't take what we can do, because when we start, we must end. Yes.
What advice would you have for people who have recognized this desire in themselves to get into humanitarian work, to empower others?
You know that I chose to do advocacy in addition to service provision because, you know, you can't do anything within if the policy environment is not good. So, you know, as a development organization, you can always do some, and you need policy makers and duty bearers to take over. So, and that is where advocacy becomes very relevant. So it's important that anybody, whether institutions or individual, if you want to do development, to make sure that you are improving the lives of people, you need to do it within a very good policy environment. So you need to be very cautious of that, and you should be passionate about what you do well. So my first advice is to make sure that people need to be passionate about what they want to do. I know that this work that PL Show is doing, because they think that they are passionate about it, and they've read beyond what the show can do in terms of impacting lives. Because if you have opportunity for people to share their story, it also motivates others to know that other people probably were even worse than my situation, but they'll be able to take that and move forward. So for a show like this, you can always use it to motivate more people, reach out to more people, get more people interested to act. Because the more people are acting, the more we can all contribute to the development. Because the issues are big. On the ground, the issues are not just for one person to handle. They are not for one institution to handle. They are multifaceted. And everybody's role becomes very relevant in solving that problem. So for a show like this means that you are looking at what are you also bringing on board. Stay in Accra, but you have been reaching people in Zabzugu Tatale. You have been reaching people in Wa. You have been reaching people in Samo, my village. You have been reaching, I mean, you will reach far beyond your expectation. And as we sit here, you may not know the impact that probably the show will do.
True.
The show will be contributing to reducing poverty beyond people your
Even
expectations.
Understanding, yeah.
You see, and the show too, like as I sit here, I'm very sure that when we play this show, more young people will look for me.
Yes.
Because they will know that no, there is somebody
There's
who
somebody
can listen
who-
to us.
Yes, who
So
wants
let
to
us
make
go
a
there.
difference, who wants to help us.
Yes. So that's what shows like this do.
Mhm.
And when you do the show like that, you get the right people to say the right things at the right time.
Yeah.
It reaches the right people.
Mhm.
Then change happens.
So you're saying that
Yeah.
in order to be a part of humanitarian work, you need to first and foremost be dedicated to
Yeah.
helping people.
But if you really want to move and go far, you just really need to be passionate
You need
about
to
what
be
you-
resilient.
And yes, and also deliberate. You
Mhm.
are passionate, you are resilient, and you are deliberate. Then you can get your results. You should also know that you can't do it alone. The moment you realize that you're a team player, that means that you can really go far.
You also mentioned that your husband is a politician. And as we know, truly pure politics should come from a place and desire to help the community around you at large. You being so passionate about working towards changing your environment, are you interested in politics?
Why not? Politics is good. You see, politics is supposed to be opportunity to impact lives at a larger scale. And for where I come from and learning from what my husband does, my husband is currently the regional minister for Northern Region. It's called Honorable Salif Saeed. So for coming also from a development trained background, the way he manages his politics is admirable, and all of us want to do that because he believes in impacting directly, using the power to touch lives directly. And for me, I think that anywhere I go, people just think that I can be a correct politician. I really like to do that because I've been working with this. The two of us were managing this organization, and we've been doing that, and nobody was seeing us until I became first lady for Northern Region.
Yeah.
And because I'm already a development person, I saw that it gave me a leverage.
Gave you the platform.
The platform to really move. It's not like I got any extra money from anywhere.
Simply
but
the reach.
The reach became so wide. To the extent that now I go to church, people invite me, I go. So you can talk to a group of women at the same time.
Yes.
And give them information that otherwise nobody was giving them. Anybody in a position of influence, if you use it well, you can really change people's lives. And that is exactly what we are using the power for. Because we as an organization also are promoting women in decision making. Not just leading, but their voices too must be heard.
Yes.
Because we have women that have given them positions and they are just occupying the positions.
And we don't
Nobody
hear much
hears
from
their
them.
voices. But we are going beyond that and said, no, really represent. Don't take position and just sit.
And sit.
And that is what currently I do. I have the position and I want to be heard, and I make sure that I am heard.
There are a lot of young people who want to enter into humanitarian work. What do you have to say to them, to their questions about how lucrative a career in humanitarian work may be or may not be?
What is lucrative is a personal thing for me. That's how I look at it. So what you can only do is to make a change in somebody's life by contributing, whether advice, whatever form that it takes. The baseline for me is the passion to effect change in other people's lives. So that, because the environment is safe, it's safe for everybody. Work is said that when you do work genuinely, money will come. If you say that because you are poor currently, you won't allow your girl child to go to school, it means that you are just going to perpetuate the poverty. So this show is going to also change people's lives. So it's like you have given me money to reach more communities and do work. If you are going into development because somebody has given you money and you must account for the money, you go into the community. When the money finish, you everything you want to do is for the money to finish, so that you can write your report. But if you are already a grassroots person and you are doing your thing, the money just come to add up to improve how you are doing it. So that if you were going to community once, you could now go 3-4 times. Then you can talk about sustainability of the issues.
We've talked about how you're trying to curb child marriages from happening in the first place to ensure that the girl child receives an education. But what happens to the young women who have already been placed into child marriages even before you have the opportunity to reach them?
That is a very relevant situation we find ourselves, question you are raising, because it is real.
Yes.
You go to a lot of the communities, they're already giving out, they're already married. Sometimes before you even hear it, the child is already gone. And currently, as we speak now, because of COVID, the figures are even becoming worse.
Goodness.
I went to 2 of our communities we work, and we realized that by statistics, you go to a class that of 15 girls and only 9 has come back. Where are the 6? They are not there. They've already, some of them are already married, others have migrated to look for greener pasture, which means that for them their poverty is going to, if they are not lucky, is going to continue.
Worsen.
So in a situation where we find that some of those girls have already been married, that's why I said that we also want to be very practical. They are married. Now you have to go to the level of making sure that they get decent things to do that can earn them income. And we also work a lot with a lot of women groups, and we are very conscious of getting some of these young girls to be part of it.
Yes.
Because the group formation is also a way of disseminating information to a larger women at the same time, so that the empowerment starts from there. Whatever information that makes the woman better.
You mentioned an emphasis on Islamic studies. I'm sure our viewers at home might be wondering, is it limited only to people of Islamic faith, or is it open to more of a multi-faith denomination?
From where we are coming from, we are Muslims, and in the Muslim, this is more often than not, our parents prefer us go for the Islamic studies. So sometimes even they prefer it more than the secular one. Our parents, when they get the girls there, they don't encourage them to get to the formal one. And I just want to say that even in that situation, we want them to see it as a type of education that can also be used to empower the girls. When you get the two, both Islamic and then the secular one, for you, you are a very good woman already. Because you understand from the religious
You're
perspective,
well-rounded.
yes, what the religion expects you to do as a woman, managing a home, and from the secular you add that one, so it gives you better opportunities in life.
How important in your line of work do you believe that the roles of mentors and mentorship as a whole is for your work?
Everybody wants to look up to somebody. And in the North, that is what we have realized, that that gap is not encouraging a lot of the young girls especially to be able to move from their current situation to a better level of becoming whoever they aim to. Mentorship provides opportunity for the young girls to learn fast, and don't repeat mistakes of others. A lot of our young women in the North have the gap of who are we talking to, who are we looking up to. And as far as we started this, we started that program of mentorship with some young people, and we provided them opportunity to be asking questions, approaching us, providing anything that they want to know, how to go about their lives, what are the gaps they need to fill, what are the opportunities they need to access, and where they need to go, when they need to go do that, and also the platform, because sometimes you need to do the mentorship and also providing coaching alongside, so that people look up to the person and then also are learning alongside the person, so that the rate of progress is faster.
People they can count on.
Yes, people that they can really can count on and have confidence that when I go to this person, I will have my problem solved.
What are some of the challenges that you believe you faced, both as an individual and in a larger sense, from an organizational standpoint?
Dealing with human beings itself, because we are dynamic, that one alone is a challenge by itself. Yes. But if you recognize that you are dealing with human beings and there are challenges alongside, then that challenge already you have killed it. But usually the critical one that we always look at moving forward in the development has to do with the custom and tradition that we find ourselves. Sometimes you just want things done, but the systems does not support what you want to be done. So it takes you longer time that probably you need. You need to get this girl-child marriage stopped, forced marriage stopped. You need women empowered. You need women's rights respected. You need women part of decision making. All these are possible, but you will need commitment from gatekeepers.
Yes.
And in our community and society we find ourselves, our gatekeepers have always been the traditional authorities, and sometimes the men that are having the power, as we talked now. To let go power is never easy.
No.
So it means that it takes us longer time to engage, to discuss, than to get agreement. Also, unfortunately, sometimes the women, we are all women, sometimes our own confidence level to accept change is very low.
Yes.
So
because even we have gotten used to the way of life.
Thank you.
Even
you understand the system.
Yeah.
That is it. We've gotten so much used to it.
Yes.
So as we are bringing change, sometimes you go into a meeting with a women group, you all agree on what to do. They have to go back for a response from home,
which completely defeats
the purpose. Everything.
What are some of, in a lighter sense, the achievements that have made your work worthwhile?
Yes, that's also good, because all this talking we are doing, there's evidence to show for what we have achieved. Yes, from our line of operation, because thematically we do a lot of work that has to do with just trying to fill women's practical needs. Water like this, we'll be able to animate a lot of communities to access safe water for themselves. And in accessing safe water means that you are reducing women's time to access water, which they can translate into looking for economic opportunities for their homes. Currently, as we talk, we have over almost 1,000 households that we are able to support to construct household latrines. You know, sanitation is important. Without sanitation, then you are looking at health implications for children. And when there are health implications, it means the woman spends more time. So the unpaid care work increase again. We organize a lot of chiefs working with World Vision to make sure that the chiefs understand the implication of girl-child marriage, pushing children into early marriage, and getting them rather into school. So we've done all those activities that we have. We were able this year to access over 100 acres of land for women. One of the key things we've been doing is engaging women on their own to advocate for fertile land. Yeah. Currently, they are harvesting their maize. They are harvesting, we farm 100 hectares of maize, 100 hectares of soya beans, and they are harvesting. And this is purely for women. Yeah. And we've worked along the value chain such that the market is already secured. And then we also have been able to work with other partners to protect share parklands. Because in the north, share is our cocoa. Any NGO working, if you leave our share, it means that you are leaving the other income source of every rural woman.
We'll be right back after this break.
The clapping of our hands, tapping of our feet, and slapping of our skin continue to increase as our full attention has been shifted to COVID-19. While the mosquitoes grow wings in our households and are flying in our environment, while we observe the protocols to curb the COVID-19 pandemic by washing our hands with soap, wear mask always if you are infected or not, and ensuring social distancing. Let's also drive away malaria, which slowly raised our hope by using Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Roma in Tum Tum Master.
Welcome back from the break. The work that you do is incredibly admirable. I mean, you yourself are an admirable woman, but you work so hard. What are some of the things you do to kind of unwind, and who are some of the women that you yourself admire?
In fact, the way we work, you also have to look up to somebody that should motivate you, like you asked, and for me, as a Muslim woman, I will always first look for another Muslim woman who will be in the context of where we find ourselves, who has to also be able to make it and is still going higher. So, you know, there's this Nigerian woman who is now a deputy U.S. Secretary General, Mrs. Amina. Mohammed. I look up to her because while she's a Muslim, she's married, she's able to keep up all the challenges and still going higher.
Do you have any favorite artists that you admire?
Because of the work I do, I'm a people person. I like people. I'm always smiling, you know. I like songs that will make me know that it's good to give out to society and also know that life is short. You know, this Benis madam, she has that her song. Very short, the life is short. Yes. So wherever you find yourself, just do your best and then go. So that's I just like it.
I think that it's incredible that you would mention her. I believe that our producers have a bit of a surprise for you. Let's take a look at that in our chillaxing segment.
Hello, Hajia. My name is Benny Sofe. I'm a gospel musician. I have been singing for over 30 years now, and I pray that as I go through the song that you have chosen, Life is Short, it will also minister to you. I'm sure you know it already, so you can join me wherever you are. It was but yesterday you were a baby, but so soon you are growing too, and before you know it, you've become a lady or a man with children too. Then your health and strength begin to fail you, and you say, now what shall I do? Because the days and years you may have wasted may be memories haunting you. So you see, my sister, that life is so short. It passes so quickly and soon it's gone. You just have one life to live on it. So remember your Creator while you have breath. Remember your Creator while you have breath. So remember your Creator while you have breath.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Well,
life is short.
Life is short. Life is short, but as short as life is, you have dedicated every waking moment of it to making the lives of people around you so much better.
Yes.
And I can't even begin to thank you for that. Before we get into showing a bit of our gratitude for you, even though I don't think there's anything we could possibly do that could express our full gratitude for the work that you're doing, where do you see yourself and the Sweeter organization in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, we'll see ourselves becoming one of the biggest gender-focused organization in northern Ghana. Noted for what we do and how we do it. Yes, we see ourselves repositioning ourselves to take the lead for advocacy for children's rights, for being the leader in making sure that we get more women in decision making.
With all the work that you're doing, I have no doubt that you'll be able to achieve all of that and so much more. Can you give a small message of advice to the youth that may be watching the program today? And additionally, in your own words, who is a phenomenal lady?
As a young person, do not so much look up to what society you are getting from society, but what are you also giving out to society? If you have that concept or that mind, that mentality, then already it makes you a rich person. Don't believe in richness as only money. Wealth is what is more important. As human beings, is what makes people wealthy. It's important that as a young person, you see humanity as first and invest your time in it. When you do that, you will definitely be reached by people. A phenomenal lady for me is a lady that is passionate about where society, it does not so much concentrate on herself alone or the immediate family, but goes beyond that and make sure that the family exists because society exists. Without society, the family is meaningless.
Our sponsors at Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Sasso Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil have a few parting gifts to express our gratitude for gracing us today with your presence and sharing your vast wealth of knowledge. Have you used any of these products?
Yes, I do. We use Sasso, the sprayer,
Yes.
in the house.
Wonderful.
That's what we use to spray the minister's room. So that is it. Thank you very much. So it is not out of place. That it means that we were already contributing to and this thing, and we want to use that to also market. So we want to say very big thank you to PL Show, the sponsors of PL Show, and say that we are very grateful for the opportunity to share our story, and we hope that they should keep on providing the opportunity for more people to share stories. There are more young people who also do marvelous work, and when we have the opportunity to share, it's also a motivation.
Yes.
It's also a motivation for more people to know that whatever you are doing, people will recommend you. Somebody recommended me, and I would like to thank the person very much for doing that. And it means that the person appreciates what we do, society appreciates, and God definitely also appreciates. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now we've been able to somewhat attempt to show our gratitude in a small way, but do you have anyone in mind that you yourself would like to thank?
Yes, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be alive up to now, and then also thank my parents for, in the midst of challenges, still finding it well to educate us. We are many, but all of us have been educated and we come from. I want to thank my husband very much. Honorable Salifo Saeed. It's not easy in where we find ourselves for a man to really have confidence so much in what a lady brings on board and allow you to operate. And I want to mention Plan Ghana for the support. Global Fund for Women also support us. World Vision in a lot of this girl child marriage. I mean, a lot of them. We want to say very big thank you for and then the communities that have accepted us and believe that we are bringing in change and they are ready for the change.
There would be no work without their
all my network partners, One Up Ghana board members, Pizza Farmers Association board members, there are a lot of them. I want to thank this young lady who nominated me for, that's Naila.
Please do.
Naila, yes, thank you very much. Naila of New Energy, I think she's the executive director for New Energy. Thank you very much.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, we have enjoyed having you on the show and learning from your experiences and your hard work and this huge vault of knowledge that you possess. Thank you so much for being on the show. This has been the Phenomenal Lady Show, brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil. Roma, Intimtum Master. Feco Spray Starch, look sharp. Before we go, let me leave you with these parting words. Remember that in everything you do, be resilient, be deliberate, and, as always, be dedicated to your craft. Remember that wealth comes from the human beings that you impart and those that you affect with your work, and not in monetary values or riches. We'll see you again next week on the PL Show. My name is Princess Fathia Nkrumah, and I've been your host.